Hello and welcome to a new series I am calling Every Bruce Willis Movie Post-Read 2 is Exactly the Same. Today we are watching The Marauders from 2012. As Los Angeles prepares for Halloween, mask-wearing armed robbers critically wound Detective James Knight's... wrong movie. This is The Marauders. When a bank is hit by a brutal heist, all evidence points to the owner and his high-powered clients. But as a group of FBI agents dig deeper into the case and the deadly heists continue, it becomes clear that a larger conspiracy is at play. Funnily enough, all the people robbing these banks are also wearing masks and acting brutal, so you can see my confusion. Also, before we continue, I would like to make it clear I have nothing but respect for Bruce Willis and do know that he did these movies specifically post-Red 2 because he was struggling with aphasia and needed to make sure that he could make as much money as possible in a short amount of time so that he could have a nest egg for his family. Because he has multiple children and a wife, and he's still close with his ex-wife, Demi Moore. But that being said, I think that these movies are genuinely phenomenal, but in a bad way, and I love them. So it's Hallmark movies for men. Bruce Willis gives a monologue here about a spider climbing up to the 13th floor of a building. And also, he's a bank owner. And there's a bank heist that he's about to find out about. Oh no, his monologue about how he always climbs to the top like spiders climb to the top might not mean as much when there's a bank heist going on in his bank. Enter the TV detective trying to stop himself from being cast as a TV detective by playing, you guessed it, a movie detective. Hopefully this will really take off his movie career. It doesn't. He goes back to Law & Order. Better paycheck, so whatever. Enter also a pro sports guy who's trying to get out of sports by going into films. It does work for him. Really well. Surprisingly well. But he just wants a rom-com. We haven't given him that yet. We've given him Hallmark in the form of crappy action movies, though. Oh, look, there's also a When She Speaks for... We also have a late 90s, early 2000s heartthrob who's just trying to get out of Hallmark's clutches by going into action Hallmark. He goes back to regular Hallmark, too. Also, he has a 26-year-old wife. We also have a super racist dirty cop, but we find out later that he has a sick wife. So we have to feel pity for him, even though he's dirty and racist. If you're wondering what the plot is of this movie yet, there was a bank heist. They're trying to figure out who heisted the bank, but while trying to figure out who heisted the bank, this guy also exists, and you kind of wonder if he's a part of it, but then they convince you that he's not. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out. While they're trying to figure out who robbed the banks and why, these two go work together to tell the wife of one of the people who was killed in the bank robbery, the bank manager, that her husband died, tragically. She doesn't seem surprised that there's a bank heist, but she does seem surprised that her husband died. So there's that. Also, they live in a $2 million house, and her husband made $60,000 a year. And she's wearing a really fancy pearl necklace. What could... Oh my god, the woman was allowed on the screen alone for a whole second. Also, a reminder again, I do really love these movies. After work, Christopher Maloney goes to the bar alone, and there he listens to voicemails from his wife that almost make him cry while he watches a couple flirt on a first date. Is she dead? We don't know. That's all we hear of her for a hot second. You're not going to believe me, but two women had a scene together, and then this woman was brought in to remind us that Dave Bautista is going to talk about her breasts so much for no reason. Look, scary masks. I would also like to vent. This movie is set in Cincinnati, Ohio, but it's raining the entire time. There's more rain in this movie than there is in all of Twilight. Make it make sense. This man has been kidnapped, his wife and children have been threatened, and he does his best to save everyone in his bank while robbing the bank for the bank robbers. It doesn't work, but he tries. The issue is that he missed one. But one of the robbers actually helps this woman to save the guy who gets shot by one of the other robbers. Could this be a secret good guy who's actively robbing banks? Haven't we seen a secret good guy who's also racist and dirty earlier in the movie? This is a series I'm doing on Bruce Willis movies, but it's been so long in this movie since we saw Bruce Willis that I forgot that Bruce Willis was in this movie. Anyways, he'll be in it more from now on. But still. Also, violent burst of anger. Check. This entire scene was literally so long. It was just two men monologuing back and forth over and over again. It was like an episode of Scandal where it's Cyrus and Olivia just talking back and forth about who's stronger. And then her dad comes in. Oh, look, a walk and talk. For a big reveal, it's a priest. Yup, it turns out that the dirty cop isn't really a dirty cop. He's just a dirty cop. But he's a dirty cop with a sick wife, so maybe he's stealing all that money as a dirty cop to fund the medicine for his sick wife. Which, like, American healthcare system. I get it. This is the scene where Dave Bautista discusses the journalist's boobs. They bring up the journalist, they show the newspaper, they show the article that she has written, and he just goes, yes, the woman with the giant... Also, everyone in this film talks like they are just in a first-year theater class, doing their first monologue. Maybe their second monologue. Oh, look, another walk and talk. I am walking, I am talking. But this one is special, because it really looked like they were gonna kiss for a second. The funeral for the poor man who died at the first bank robbery. Here's his wife and his children all being really sad that the dad is dead because they knew that there would be a bank heist, but they didn't know that he would die at it. And also, why is there so much rain? 3 years ago, I decided that I was going to make this bingo card because I watched these movies and then I go, oh my god, they're all the same. And I was like, you know what? I can actually make a list of all the ways that they're the same movie because I've been watching them since college because they're delightful. And then I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with them. And then I saw this girl on TikTok do a bingo card sheet with the show Four Weddings. Her name is Sydney. I will tag her. She's genuinely so funny. And also... it finally inspired me to do something with this bingo card sheet that I made years ago. Because I was like, maybe this would be a good podcast. It wouldn't be a good podcast. I don't know how to do a podcast with this, but I do like Sydney's format, so thank you, Sydney. Adrian Grenier is told that he has to babysit the dirty cop, and the dirty cop tells Adrian Grenier that he banged his journalist girlfriend. So far, journalist girlfriend has big boobs and has been banged by the guy with the sick wife. This was obviously before he married his sick wife. They're going to interrogate a witness at a restaurant, and for some reason the dirty cop just seems really uninterested in to hear what the witness is witnessing. That's suspicious. That's weird. Oh look, these men actually might kiss, but this movie is made for men who are probably Republicans. So guess what? We don't see anything more sexual than this in the blackmail that this is supposed to be. That's insane. This looks like he's whispering a secret in his ear. Or like kissing his cheek. But that's a senator, so it's important. Also, for women in this movie, we have so far gotten cop woman, journalist woman with the big boobs, sick woman to like rehabilitate the image of her gross husband, waitress woman, grieving wife, and none of them really seem to have consistent names. Chris Maloney's wife is dead. That's also important to note. And he's about to consider taking himself out of the game before he gets hacked. This robber is calling himself Robin Hood, because of course he is. And he defends the fact that he keeps committing multiple unalivings, or at least his crews keep committing multiple unalivings, by saying they were bad guys. They were bad, so they had to go. Obviously, you understand that, Chris Maloney. Your wife was brutally unalived by a pew-pew. You should think that the work I'm doing here is phenomenal. Chris Maloney does not think that the work that he's doing there is phenomenal. The robber also hints that he's, like, sending all this information about, like, the blackmail and stuff to show the bigger picture of what's happening. He's committing these robberies to bring the bad guys down. Chris Maloney does not give a shit. Two super famous bald men enter a room. They try to out-intimidate each other. Bruce Willis wins. Bruce Willis is also the guy blackmailing the gay senator. I'm shocked. Chris Maloney thinks that he can take Bruce Willis in a fight. He can't. We get our third robbery of the film on another rainy day in this beautiful bank building. Oh my god, it's gorgeous. And it's on a day that Chris Maloney is there. And seemingly every single person in this bank, except for Chris Maloney and Bruce Willis, gets shot. I literally have an hour left of this movie. I'm gonna need to make part 2. Part 2's coming. Bye!